Hello, this is Aaron, amateur radio call sign N6ACA. Welcome to DC to Daylight. Today we'll be doing a POTA activation at Lake Del Valle in Livermore, California. I've been activating Lake Del Valle for several years now. Generally, I'll activate from various parts of the park. I really enjoy activating overnight in the family camping area that's south of the lake. One of the really common areas is in the picnic area, right near the visitor center, as well as the area near the boat ramp. But today we're going to be activating from the Arroyo staging area, which is the trailhead for the trail that goes up to the reservoir and gives the view of the reservoir and the dam. Today I'm going to be activating Lake Del Valle, US-3455 for POTA. It's my local park and come out here quite a bit. Normally I activate from either the campground, main park, or where I'm at right here, which is below the reservoir and below the dam where the staging area for the trailhead is. So we're gonna get all set up. Here in the Arroyo staging area, this is the area where the trailhead starts to head up to the top of that hill where the trees are that basically allow you to get a great view of the reservoir on the other side. I've actually made 2-meter contacts from the tree in the center to down in town, just simplex, to allow me to get 2 meters on this park. And we also have the reservoir over here, right behind the trees that you can't see. So when I think I'm maybe gonna have some time to activate POTA, I'll keep a bunch of things in my vehicle so I can strike while the iron's hot or whatever. I will keep batteries, radio, extra battery, laptop that's dedicated for POTA, some headphones if I need them, coax, and this is one of my favorite things here. I keep a bunch of antennas that are the extended whips, as well as a trailer mount. So these trailer hitch mounts you can get on eBay. It's basically extruded aluminum, and it just goes right into a 2-inch hitch, and you hook up your coax there. It's worked out really well for me. I've used it on 2 different vehicles, as well as I have a trailer mount on my travel trailer that I can hook this on the back. So once you have it hooked up, it basically has the 3/8/24 connection on there, got coax connected. It'll rattle if you're actually running, so I wouldn't recommend something like this for actually operating real mobile unless you actually shim it down in here, because it'll rattle. But when you're actually in a fixed position, it really doesn't matter. Generally I use it, I've got a 17-foot chameleon whip and a 25-foot. I also have a 40-meter shorty 40 coil from Wolf River Coils that I use in conjunctions with the 17-foot whip, and that gets me on 40 meters. The 25-foot whip will get me on 30 meters like gangbusters, and it'll tune up pretty well with, even though it's not necessarily resonant, it'll tune up on 40 pretty well, but it's not as good as the 17-foot with the coil. I'm a big fan of the battery hookup. They've got this 30 amp hour lithium battery. Basically, it's pretty cheap on the internet directly from their site.
And then you basically just have to hook it up with power poles or whatever to power your stuff. So I just made that up with scrap wire. I've got another one installed in a ammo box, and that's what I've got in the front of my car. Generally, I don't operate directly off the car. I usually leave it powered off because it adds quite a bit of noise, especially on 20 meters. But I do have it rigged up so I can go directly off the battery here. But generally, if I'm going to hang out and do a POTA from my vehicle, I'll have it powered off so I don't have the exhaust. All right, so I've got a 17-foot whip installed. I've got coax running in. Got a little bit of a loop outside. Not using a choke here, but essentially got that extended. Install it first, then push it up. Not always super efficient, but it works out, and I just use the tuner in the car. You can be operating from my driver's seat, but essentially I just have an ammo box, has a battery, some foam, charger. I've got a second Denko battery in there if I need a 6 amp hour. Accessories, if I need to hook up other types of devices. A little splitter to allow me to get power pull out to different things. I'm powering the radio so I can get 10 watts out of it. I've got a cheap muffin fan under it because the radio is going to get hot. I'm going to do some FT8, some FT4. If I end up doing some SSB, I've got a little thing my son printed out for me from one of the printable sites that allows me to, put my radio at a good angle in the car. So generally when I operate at a POTA place and I'm doing parking lot, I'll try to get a corner somewhere out of the way, back in, so I can basically have the antenna out of the way. I'm only gonna be running 5 to 10 watts here, so it's not a big deal. But if I was running 100 watts, I'd definitely want to be out of harm's way for people. And generally with the silver stuff, if you back up to a tree, no one really notices it. All right, so I've got the radio, battery, and all that set up on the seat beside me. With a little fan. Right now I've got it tuned to 20 meters. I'll get it tuned to get a good match on that. I've got it hooked up. I think it's already in digi mode from the previous time I was working with this radio. Love the X6100. It has some weirdness to it, but usually all those weirdness can be resolved by a full factory reset or a firmware reload. So I'm using a laptop here. It's one of the Evolve 3 units. It's a 12-volt laptop, so I actually have it hooked into the mess of 12-volt wiring over here. It'll last long enough, and I've actually used this on some SOTA activations for FT8. But essentially it's super underpowered. I have Tiny 10 on here, which is the it's an unsupported version of Windows 10 Enterprise, but it'll work on here, and I can get pretty decent performance. So what we're going to do here is 3 different steps. I'm going to start up the GT Sync, which is going to give me time once we get audio in from the radio, because I don't have a GPS on this, and I'm not going to hook it to my Wi-Fi on my phone because I'm filming on it right now. Then we're going to start up FL Rig, and that's going to handle all the cat control, and then we'll use MSHV. That's one of my favorite FT8 applications for the field because it works really great on low power devices and has an integrated pane. It doesn't have multiple windows, it just has the one window. All right, so I just started up JT Sync. You're not going to see anything yet because we don't have any audio, which is going to come in through the MSHV application. It's going to send IP to UDP packets over the localhost link from the application itself to this, and that's where it's going to actually get the time sync, and we'll look at that in a second. All right, so FL Rig, I work with the xiegu radios quite a bit. Got it set up for the X6100. It's going to control the radio. So basically we're going to set it to 0 volume. Might bring that up so we can have stuff. Turn off AGC, no squelch, and then we're going to have the power set to 10 watts here, and that's why I've got the fan on, because this whole case is like a heat sink. Okay, so we've got MSHV up. The radio, you can hear the squealing of FT8. I see some of the decodes. One of the things I like the most that I can see is the CPU usage. So this has got 2 cores and it's hyper-threaded, so it shows us 4 CPUs. So just on the decode for the signal level I've got, it's using about half the CPU. So it's not great, but it works. And then the speaker on this thing is wacky, so we're going to hear that get blown out. Okay, with JT Sync, I'm going to go through and I'm going to listen right now. So now it's listening to the IP packets. So let's see what it's going to tell me time-wise. So it's going to say I'm terribly misaligned for time, so that's why it's kind of up red. I'm going to calculate it. It's going to have us adjust by 2.5 seconds. It wasn't terrible, just from the point of view that you can see some of the decodes between 1.5 and 2.5 seconds off. So we'll go through and try to see what else. And this is because I'm cheap. We could have a UPS or GPS dongle on here, but I decided to just use JT Sync, and it's a great mix. All right, had a quick phone call with a dear coworker friend, and so we're going to start out here on 17 meters, tuned into 18100 here, tuned up the antenna, so we can see the waterfall here. So one of the things I actually really like about MSHV as an app is that you have the integrated waterfall. So I can do a Control W right now, and we can kill the waterfall, and we can basically just see what the decodes are. So this is like a $20 laptop. Literally, that's what I paid for it on eBay. It's really underpowered, and so not showing the display is helpful. Or if I have a high number of decodes and I want to basically look at what I either want to hunt or who's calling or whatever, and then easy enough, I can bring the spectrum back up. You basically can look in here at where the lower end of the filter is and the higher end. So on this radio, it's about 3 kilohertz or something like that for the audio passband, and so we're looking at that, and you can actually see it's probably right around 2800 actually, or 2700, because you can see it where it darkens right about there. So right now we're calling CQ POTA. I just posted a spot for myself on the POTA.app page, and we'll see where we go. I'm getting out a little bit. I like to use, when I have cellular coverage, there's a Whisper app that I'll put a link to. I think it's Whisper Watch, that basically takes the PSK reporter information and graphs it locally on my iPhone, and I can see if I'm getting out without actually having to do a web page. One of the key things that is pretty cool, also, you can do it in all the different apps, but you can do it easily in here, is to transmit on one frequency and listen on all the others. So you can really do split mode. It really is helpful when you're running QRP or near QRP like I am. You can go on the band edges, like below 500, above 2300 or so, and where there's less noise, less people transmitting, and you can oftentimes get through. And sometimes you just have to check to see where you're getting the QRM or any kind of interference, and move to different channels, because you don't know what is happening in other places. So there could be quite a bit of traffic along the way, and they've got stronger signals that you can't hear. So sometimes the key is to just switch it up. All right, so I've been calling CQ, running 10 watts right now. So it looks like I got a taker. So we'll see if that so yeah, so I've got that. Got a good RR73, so that's going to be my first contact. of today. One of the things I sort of like to do when I'm out there, especially QRP, is to get a full activation. A lot of times I'll like to do 10 contacts digital and then mix it up with voice, or either doing FM on simplex, or doing SSB, just so that I can knock it out. Because a lot of times, especially on a new park, I don't necessarily have like here at this park, I don't care if I get another application, or I'm sorry, another activation, and just as long as I get my QSO count up. But if I need to get the stats for another park, a lot of times just knocking them out digital. FT4 is a great solution for that as well, because you get twice as fast, and especially when 10 meters is open, you can get a lot of QSOs. As I mentioned earlier, so the 25-foot chameleon is a beast on 30 meters. So you can see I'm working Whiskey 7 Papa Kilo here, and he's a plus 18. I don't know what kind of power he's working, but it's pretty. You can see you got the sizzling bacon strips on the waterfall there. So I'm not sure if he's got a directional antenna or if he's just running a lot of power, but I was able to make a QSO with him, so we'll thank you there. Okay, at this point we got a little tiny pile up on 10 meters. So November 7, Quebec Juliet Papa just came back. We just finished that QSO. I called Kilo 7 Echo Delta Mike directly, and he's responded, so we're going to finish that QSO. And Kilo Juliet 6 Whiskey Lima Lima, I will be responding to him next. So yeah, KJ7 WLL, worked him from Hawaii and a bunch of other places. Super prolific. Anyway, so that's one of the things that I also like about MSHV, is that you can actually queue operations if I'm running my little de-expedition from the park here. The vertical gives you a lot of low angle DX on there, so I'm hearing X-Ray Victor 9 Tango from Vietnam right now. I doubt I'm running enough power to get him, so I'll call him a few times and see if I can actually make a QSO. Probably not, but if I was running 100 watts out of the car, there'd be no problem getting Vietnam from where I'm at. Same with the Chinese station. But yeah, 30 meters this time of day is sort of dead, but work it up and down the Pacific coast. It's sort of like 40 meters. You can do one hop daytime, not too bad. Any kind of DX is sort of difficult. So let's just give it a try a little bit, see if they hear us. I think Echo Bravo is Spain. So they're getting out there. So this is a case of where you can direct call someone that's not calling CQ. So I saw this station, VE3NJC out of Canada. They were working someone, they're super strong. So I called him a few times, then went back to calling CQ, and he came back. He heard me just a little bit, a minus 21, but we were able to make a QSO, so that's super cool.
One of my favorite new apps is Polo. It's a portable logging application. Well, one of the tricks you can do is import the ADIF file from your activation and then plot it and display it. So if you want to merge multiple sources, you can do it. But just for having ability to look at where you connected to. But the important thing is that you have to have the grid square for your QSOs. The Whisper Watch app is a really great tool, like I said before, that lets you monitor the PSK reporter and RBN sites for spots, and it'll graph it based on the time frame that you want. Well, it turns out that Stu, N6ACA, is my 1,000th contact in the park. So thank you so much for helping me with my first kilo in the park and first kilo ever for POTA. 73. Today we ended up with QSOs on 10, 12, 17, 20 meters, and 30 meters. Would I have liked more QSOs? Sure. Would I have liked more than just digital? Sure. But you use what you have, and was able to get some great contacts. 73.